Welcome back to Screenfish Radio. I am so thrilled to be here today to talk about a film I did not think I was going to talk about, but I had to. Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour. And this was my first experience with Taylor Swift, so I needed people that understand the Taylor Swift world and live within. No, no, I'm very excited to have two dear friends of mine, Leila, Atta, and Judith McCartney here. Thank you both for hopping.
Buddy, so good to be here.
I am thrilled to have you both here because I need answers and I need to understand my own feelings about this concert. Um,
Yeah.
I really do. I really do. For those of you, for the 2% of the population that don't know what I'm talking about, Taylor Swift The Eras Tour follows pop icon Taylor Swift as the cultural phenomenon continues in a once-in-a-life concert experience that chronicles her entire catalog, or at least the span of it. The film has made broken records as a concert film and is continuing to dominate the box office. And
Mhm.
I need, as always, and I don't know why this would affect it here, but as always, this podcast is rated S for spoilers. But like, she's in it. No, Leila, Judith, what do you think of the Eras Tour concert film and just the Swiftie phenomenon?
Buddy, first off, I'm just going to say it's a post-COVID win for a tour, a concert. Right now, Fortune magazine has actually said they forecast a net consumer spending of $4.6 billion. I think what I also heard is because of this Eras tour, she has become a billionaire. Um, Over 2.5 million tickets have been sold. So far, besides ticket sales, city businesses have experienced a surge in revenue, an increase of 15 to 20% in the cities that she's gone to. And it's actually the most impactful that this tour has had would be short-term local employment between 500 to 800 temporary positions. So, I feel like there's some sort of an economic legacy here, of which is surprising when you just have the optics and you look at Taylor Swift. It's profound in the ticket sales, job creation, streaming, and merchandising. This is how big it is, Steve. Big.
I, it's unbelievable. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah,
Yeah. Layla, why? Why,
Yeah,
Layla? Why? Why is it so big?
I don't. I feel like because I'm in the thick of it. Like I grew up with Taylor Swift. She's my favorite artist of all time. That like I'm like, yeah, of course. Like it's huge. Like it's such a unique concept for a tour to have have an artist come out play for 3.5 hours, and the entire concert is spanning her entire discography. I think it's such a unique experience, and I think for a lot of people out there, like I was 9 when her album Fearless came out. So it's nice to go to the show and that you're going to hear the old songs and the new songs. And I think Judith said it best, like coming out of COVID, it's like the ultimate concert experience to have.
hmm and it's intergenerational. You have to understand that, Steve. It's like little ones to senior citizens and everything in between, male and female. Okay, they love her, and I can attest to her being very personable because I actually met her at the People's Choice Awards. A friend of mine gave Colin and I tickets to go to the People's Choice Awards in LA, and we saw how everything worked there for the stars. And she was there. And guess what she was doing? She was standing up and she was giving what is that called? Autographs.
Autographs?
She was so approachable and kind and friendly and did selfies. And that authenticity comes out in her show.
Is that true? Like, I mean, forgive me again. I'm asking questions because I want to learn about the phenomenon. Like, I have to admit, I have to admit, I'm obviously I'm not a big Swift fan. I think she plays like 25 songs. I knew maybe seven.
Hmm.
Um, but my gosh, what a concert! Like, it
Hmm.
was an incredible show.
I know.
Um,
3 hours, buddy.
it was,
I
and I
know.
wasn't. There were very few moments where I was bored, which makes it sound. Which I say that because in 3.5 hours, if you don't know any of the songs, it is hard to maintain attention. But it's just a staggering performance.
Hmm.
Um, Layla, what is it that sets her apart for from other pop stars for you? What is it that makes her different? You've loved her forever.
Yeah, I think I agree with Jude. Like, there's just something about her that's so personable that, like, I've never met her, like, probably won't ever meet her because she's reached like new heights of fame, I feel like. In the last couple of years, I just think there was something about her that even though she was like completely in like a different realm than I am, there was something about her that was I connected with that I felt was so relatable in her music.
Mm.
And that kind of I feel like helped with it. She was like the one constant, like it didn't matter if I was like listening to like punk or emo or whatever it was, like I would always come back to Taylor Swift. Like she was my number one. Um, yeah, and I feel like I'm obviously not the only person that feels that way. And I think, yeah, she just the personality, the relatability in her music, how she was always different with her fans. Like she was like on Tumblr, on Twitter, like replying to people, like surprising people, giving them gifts and inviting them out to listen to the album early with her and things like that. That I feel like no artist really ever does, um, which I think makes it that much more special.
Hmm.
That's so interesting to me because that was apparent to me in this film was the relationship with the fans. And Judith, I think you said it was intergenerational.
Hmm.
I mean, this I've seen a few I mean, I'm not a massive concert goer. I never really have been. My favorite concerts are U2 and Sarah McLachlan. Favorite. I absolutely adore them. Um, but I mean, I'm watching this film, and you just see girls ages 9 and 10, and women in their 40s and 50s in tears with her music,
Hmm.
and there's a connection she has with her audience that I don't understand.
Steve, she is telling their story. Okay. So you have this girl, and I don't know what the song is called because I'm really truly not a Taylor, I'm not a Swiftie, okay? But I do like the girl. But what's that song about her and the cheerleaders? And she was making this,
Oh,
she
you belong with me.
yeah, you belong with me.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the majority of girls in high school or middle school, right? Like you're just like this average kind of nobody really sees you. And then she's making these comparisons of the cheerleader and her and what she's like, what the other girls like, what she's like. But I feel like people are connecting through the storytelling. She does it so well. And she comes out on top. Okay. She does. She comes out on top.
Mm.
And when I listen to songs, Layla, I don't know if you do this, but when I listen to songs, I pretend I'm a character in that song, or I pretend I'm that person on stage. I do. I turn up the music in my car, and like if it's a good song, I'll put it on repeat like 4 times. Okay. But I just feel like she's relatable, Steve. She really is. And you become empowered because the girl from that song like 12 years ago, you're singing her song and you know where she's at now. and you're like, yeah, you go, girl. So you kind of feel like, hey, I connect with her. This is where I'd like to be.
Uh, I wondered that. Well, first of all, I
Oh,
have this image of Judith in the car being Taylor Swift, and it's the greatest image ever. Uh,
yes.
but maybe you could both talk about your experience in the film. I don't know what it was like for you. I don't know what, because I don't know when you saw it in comparison with the audience, but this has been a fascinating film where audiences are encouraged to participate. And I mean, even at the screening I was at, the guy came out with a bullhorn, which he really didn't need to do, and said, "We invite you to get up and dance and do this stuff." And I was like, this," and I think he even says, "This is your moment." He's not even on. This is a guy that works there. And can you talk a little bit about what that was like? What was it like when you saw it, and how much were you dancing?
Um, yeah, well, I didn't get tickets to the actual Eras tour. Um, so
Oh no.
I knew I wanted to see it to like experience it, but it was actually funny. I bought tickets to see it on my birthday a couple weeks ago, and I was digging through my email to find the tickets, and I was like, oh my goodness, I ordered these, or I purchased the tickets in August for like to see a movie 2 months from now, which is kind of insane. Um, I not that like it's totally fine as other people want it. Personally, I just wanted to like sit in like a comfy seat and like watch it and like I guess like have the whole experience of just like having my eyes on the screen the whole time to not miss anything. Um sorry. But yeah, so I saw it in the 19 plus theater. So I feel like people were more reserved, but I just sat there with like a glass of wine and popcorn and watched it. But everyone was singing, which was nice. And it was like very much felt like a community watching it, and I did like that. But yeah, it's the only movie where I've ever bought tickets like in advance. I never ever do that.
Good for you, because a lot of people weren't able to even get tickets.
It has
No,
shattered concert film records. It's
mhm,
Yeah.
absolutely demolished them.
yeah, yeah. And most of the tickets were only like on the weekend, right? So, um, well, what I loved about it was I had the best seat in the house. Like anybody that went to the Eras Tour show, the movie had the best seat in the house, because like you see everything from the detailing of her dresses, from the bedazzling on her guitar. You get to see everybody's facial expressions. You get to see her and how cheeky she is when she, calls people to, cheer for the song. Just the confidence, right? Like you just felt like you were right there. And I feel like the experience of this movie, this documentary, was just, you were front and center. You just felt the whole vibe.
I- it's funny when I was there and I saw it opening weekend, but where I am, the theater was far from full because it's always far from full. Um, but there were two or three groups of women. One of them was about 20 people up sitting at the back, and I felt like a stranger in a strange land.
Were they all standing and
Oh,
cheering?
they didn't stand, but they were all doing it and singing along and go 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 and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like she was in the room. And every now and then
Yeah.
there were these women to the right of me, and every now and then they would look over it. I feel like they would look over at me, and I was there. The most I was doing was like moving my foot, like my arm and stuff like this.
Of which they didn't see.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I'm sitting by myself. I went by myself. It was like the
I
weirdest
invited you to go to
experience.
Scarlem.
You did. I couldn't get to your screening, so I'm sitting there by myself. But it was really interesting. And as I was leaving, Alicia says to me, she goes, "So are you bringing friendship bracelets?" I said, "For what?" Because that's a thing, and I didn't know that was
Yeah.
a thing. Uh,
Yeah, what is that bracelet thing? What is that, Layla?
She has a line in one of her songs off her newer album, Midnights. The song is called "You're on Your Own," Kid, but she says there's a line in the song about make the friendship bracelets. So then, I guess it just stemmed from that.
Oh,
For like people would bring them on to the Eras tour shows, and then you would trade them with other fans
oh,
there.
that's
Yeah,
cool. It's kind of like
yeah,
the Disney pins, Steve.
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
It's like the
yeah,
Disney pins.
It amazes me the depth that, and again, as an outsider, that Swifties will go. It feels like people trying to unlock the Da Vinci Code, you
yeah.
know. And it's like she had this in her song, and she did this, and she said this, so we should do.
Yeah.
But it's actually really, really cool to see, especially if you're involved in that. And as an outsider, I see that I'm like, this is great. Like this is really impressive because it's more than a show. Um, it feels like it feels like an both inclusive and exclusive experience. Like it's like you have to be on the in to kind of get that, but if you're not on the in, Swifties want to welcome you in at the
Yeah.
same time.
It's incredible. It's like a movement, like um as you know, our daughter and our son played, like D1 um sports. And because they did, you can go to tailgates for, football parties and stuff like that. This is what the Swifties have created. They've created Taylor Gates. Okay. Yeah. So,
Layla's smiling. She knows what you're talking about.
tailgates, tailgates for NFL games or college football games. They have Taylor Gates. Come on, like that's huge. Okay, so they start the bracelet thing. They do other things, I'm sure, of which Leila would know. I do not know. But they've also started Taylor Gates. Come on. That's like she's taking over this male dominated, tailgate thing. It's really cool.
I am so fascinated by just how much larger than music this truly is. I really mean that.
It's a movement.
Um, Layla, I mean, I know you've been a fan for a long time, so I'm coming to you first on this. What, if anything, do you think this concert tells us about her? Because I know that people have given her credit for a lot of different conversations starting, but I also don't know how she's done those things as an outsider. Like, what about this concert do we learn about Taylor Swift, if anything?
Um, yeah, I think honestly, it just shows like one her range as a musician, like to go from country into pop and like then like folklore and Evermore, which are some of her more recent albums were very like indie based. So I think people can be incredibly misogynistic about her, about what she chooses to write her songs about her personal experiences. It's like the jokes about how often she is in and out of relationships and things like that. Like she can't keep anything to herself or whatever, the comments are. I think the film kind of speaks for itself and just shows her talent as an artist, like her songwriting abilities, her abilities to move between genres, her like just her performance ability alone. Because a 3 hour concert with like little to no breaks, like there's like I guess small breaks between the eras for her, but like it's not an easy thing to do. And like the US tour, which is like the film was filmed or recorded, I guess, on the one of the last dates of the LA like kind of residency because she did like 6 nights there, which was at the end of the tour, and the tour was like 30 some odd shows. So it just kind of shows like her talent as an artist, I feel like, because to be doing a 3 hour set at that level and like she's acting like it's the first night of the tour and not one of the
I know,
last
I
nights.
agree.
Yeah.
Judith, what about you? I mean, like you said,
Yeah.
you're uh, not new to the Taylor Swift phenomenon, but you also are sort of coming in.
Yeah.
Was there anything about Taylor Swift that you felt this concert said to you?
Yeah. So, what this tells me is, let's go back historically first, okay? She kind of came on the scene when she was 16. She got notoriety for her singing and the momentum of fans growing and growing and growing. And then she loses her publishing rights. This is something that we should talk about because after the publishing rights, she gets unrealistic contracts. She's lost her master rights for her first 6 albums. Think about that. Okay. However, she still continues to be a healthy role model. She did use her voice to say, listen, I wanted to buy it back, but they didn't give me a chance and sold it to somebody else. And so I feel like she's real creative with her roadblocks. So when you ask the question, what does this tell us about her? I think to myself, whoa, look at her. You know, she's very confident. She's pulled it together. She's curated a landscape where she continues to be powerful. And I've always said this to people. I do leadership development and organizational development. And I always tell people, listen, if you can frame your roadblocks as opportunities, that would be the best way of going about, you know, things when, you know, situations when you get challenged. And I feel like she's created roadblocks. The roadblocks she's created real great opportunities. So I feel like this tells us about her confidence, her creativity, her understanding of other people. She's a good storyteller, and it also shows us how she's matured. I loved her earlier songs. It's so cute and peppy. But now, like, what's that one? Come on, Leila. Lover. Who doesn't like Lover? Okay. Come on. That's the best song. So cute, like to see her growing up through the songs and the playlist that was played for that doc. So she's great. She's so fun loving and just kind hearted. I feel like she exudes that.
Do you, yeah, see, now this is interesting because I've heard her name used as an example of I mean, I've heard her name used, praised to high heavens in any number of ways. But I've heard her name used as an example of the Me Too movement.
Mm-hmm.
And is that what that stems from? Like, because I understand, this is what I'm learning. I didn't know what the whole Taylor's version thing was all about. I had no idea. I just thought she was trying to make money off her old songs. But I now I'm hearing it has something to do with the public, her former
Master
manager or something.
rights.
Master rights.
Yeah.
The master rights. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know the whole story. I just, you know, read an article quickly tonight. That's where I have that information from. But, you know, when she used her voice regarding it, everybody called her a little crybaby. And I didn't think that was fair because and I recall when it was Paul McCartney that wanted to buy the rights to one of his songs and Michael Jackson had
Oh, yeah.
purchased it. Do you remember that?
All of them.
Nobody called him a crybaby.
Yeah. Michael
I
Jackson
don't think
bought
so.
Michael Jackson bought all the rights to all the Beatles music.
Yeah. And so you sit back and you say, "Oh, the poor Beatles." But, you know, and I feel like journalistically, they kind of had compassion for the Beatles when that happened. But with her, they just kind of looked at her as, you know, she's just being a little saucy girl. But she really deserved, you know, the opportunity to purchase the rights, but they never gave it to her. She wasn't even a thought. So she was really smart. Leila, what did she do?
She re-recorded it.
She re-recorded all the songs and at the same albums, all the same songs. And now what do all the Swifties do? They listen to her new songs. They purchase her new songs. That's smart.
Well, it is. It is. Layla, I mean, Layla, as a fan, seeing that happen, what, like, how did you feel about that? Like, what were your thoughts on that? Because I don't recall. I've seen other artists release their own music again and stuff like that. That's happened. I've never seen it done this way.
Yeah, I think she just, not that she's the first one to call out labels for kind of exploiting artists for their art essentially. But I think with her, she wasn't going to go down quietly, which I think is super admirable. Like, she posted it online for everyone to see. She used their names. Like, she was like, this person sold my music to someone else who has never ever treated me well in this industry, who's been extremely sexist towards me, which I think is so admirable. And she didn't just rewrite, I'm not sure if you guys are like familiar, but like Taylor's version always comes out with songs that she calls from the vault. So there are songs that were previously unreleased that she recorded or wrote during the time of that particular album. So she's re-releasing the songs, and then she's also including new songs on each re-recorded album. So you're not just getting the original album. So she's also just making the album more valuable for a fan. So it's like, why would I listen to the old version? Also, just like it's more modern. So it's like, I joke with people that it's like her voice has been put through like a Brita filter. Like the newer versions are like they're crisper and they're cleaner, and the production is just like, it's almost like she was things that when you're listening to the album, the older album, it's like, oh, I might have changed that. She now has the opportunity to do it. So it just kind of like a no brainer, I feel like.
Mm.
That's interesting. So, she's re-releasing Love Story, but she's also re-releasing songs that she wrote that didn't get released from that era. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
exactly. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I honestly, I was fascinated by the structure of this concert. Like I said, you know, concerts are not my lifeblood. I know you both are more regular at concerts and whatnot. So Layla, I think, drinks them. Um,
How true.
but I the concerts I've been to, I've seen people do their back catalog. Especially U2, they always open with their main album or the main one they're promoting, and then go into the back catalog because every band knows you're really there to see the back catalog, even if their new album has hits. They got to promote the new album, then they get to the back catalog. That's how it works. But the way that this was built was fascinating. It was just like we're watching, like I think it was you, Judith, said you're watching her grow up in 3 hours. And even from the costume changes to the way that she uses her sets it was fascinating. It was riveting to me. And I mean, like, and
Mm.
she has the relationship she has with her fans. At one point, she even calls it, this is looking like, I think she says to them, here we are, and it looks like a soulmate situation. And of course, everybody cheers because, oh my God,
Yeah.
soulmates with Taylor.
Yeah.
But but it's more than just a cheap pop, or it seems like more than it might just be a cheap pop. She might have carefully constructed this image, but it doesn't feel like that in that moment. And to see this back catalog be used in the way, I don't think I've ever seen it say this album now, this album now, this album now. And I thought and it actually breaks the rule that I've seen before, because it's like, yeah, okay, well, we're going to get to the new stuff, but she doesn't. Midnight's is the new album, right? It's the newest album.
Yeah, it's her most recent.
So she's ending on the new stuff, which
Yeah.
I've never seen before. But because of the way that now it's not a perfect arc. Like she takes detours, of course,
Mm-hmm.
along the way. But man, it is really interesting to see that relationship, even in the structure of the show, is unbelievable.
It really is. I don't know. Like I really feel like sometimes these artists have a little bit of like a little stroke of luck as well, you know? And there's something about her that people just love. And they really trust her. They love her music. And she's very talented, having written all of her songs.
Trust is a fascinating word. I'm saying fascinating a lot tonight, but that's a very interesting word, Judith. Um, Trust. There's a relationship of trust that the fans have with her. Why? I mean, we've talked about all these things, and I don't mean to belittle it by saying it again, but trust is a really big word, and there seems to be a genuine personal trust in a time when we don't trust our celebrities.
Yeah.
So why trust her? Why do you both think we can trust Taylor Swift?
I think she's always been known to be extremely vulnerable, and like we kind of touched on it a bit before, that she does have a very unique connection with her fans, unlike any other artist that I listen to. I think, going back for years and years and years and years, like everyone makes comments about how she overshares, how she like moves from guy to guy, and she kind of never let that really get to her. Like her music 10 years ago is just as vulnerable as Midnight's is.
Mm.
So I feel like I I trust her, that like I do trust her, like because I can tell through her music how honest she is. So I remember like when the Eras tour got announced, I was like, I have to go to this. Like I was like under like nothing, I have to go. And I just like had this, I just knew in my gut, I was like, this is going to be the concert of the century, and it is.
I mean, it's hard to argue that. It really is.
Mm.
Is
Yeah.
there a favorite moment that you both had from the film?
I really just loved how she was so confident up there. I loved her outfits, and I loved it when she just wanted, all of her fans to engage. She just had to stand there for 5 seconds and do this, like, did I hear you say, or, she would just have this posture up there. And I'm like, yeah, she controls the whole stage. She controls all the fans, and it was just incredible. People just love her. Her outfits I really loved, and her posture up there. I think that's, for me, is everything, because in this day and age you have so many stars wanting attention, so they're flaunting it, right? They're flaunting their body up there, but I like the sexuality of who they are. But I feel like she's very tasteful, and she's very classic, and everybody likes it. I mean, it's not too tweeny, right? But it's just so classic, and I don't know, she's not selling herself out. That's what I love about her.
Hmm. For sure. Layla, what about you?
Um, I I really like the Red album. So like the Red era part of the movie was my favorite. Because she does that 10-minute song, which I love. And I was really surprised that she actually like was doing that one on the tour.
Mm.
So I liked that part. And I feel like that's like it's like your breakup song, but like on a different level because it's 10 minutes long. So I feel like it was like obviously fans were engaged the whole time, but that was like the one song where I really felt like everyone was like super into it with her.
Yeah, she made it that we're really, really, really never getting back together. Never ever.
Yeah.
I love it. That's like the best song ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, I have to admit that the staging was the best part. I mean, she was incredible. She's an incredible performer. Don't get me wrong, but the staging was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I'm gonna juke to the left here a little bit. So during TIFF, I got the opportunity to go see Stop Making Sense, the Talking Heads, which I don't know,
Right.
like I don't know if either of you have seen that. Um,
I didn't see the movie, but I know who the Talking Heads are.
okay, so it's promoted as held as the greatest concert film ever made. This is how they promoted it. And I went in actually as a similar experience for me going in than it was with Taylor Swift, because I went in knowing maybe 3 songs. I'm like, I like 3 songs by the Talking Head. Just say same as it ever was, and I'm good. Um, but for a 3 hour, 2.5 hour concert film, and have it, and this is 1983, like this is 40th anniversary. Again, I found myself engaged, even though I didn't know most of their stuff, because even with limited, like they had some projections on the screen behind them, but they're so interesting on screen, even down to the fact that the whole band isn't on stage for the first like 5 songs. He's out by himself, then he brings out the bass player, then he brings out the drummer, song by song by song. It was fascinating. I was like, this is actually really interesting. I see why it said that. And being a big U2 fan, I've always said the Zoo TV tour, I think, is the best concert film I've ever seen. But now that I saw that, I understand the Zoo TV tour, because it actually, I could see what it borrowed from Stop Making Sense. And now having seen this, I see a huge arc in terms of concert films, and just the way that people use how these bands are using their stage to further their stories. And I've never seen anything like what she's doing. Like, she lowers a house for like the scene. Is that the Folklore era? Am I getting that right? Or the one where she's in like a cabin?
Yeah, that's Folklore.
It's Folklore. And then they've got the rising platforms, and they're smashing it for, I think that's never ever getting back together, and the cracks are coming up on screen, and it's always moving, but it's never distracting. And of course there's the swim, which looks incredible. I mean, I've just never seen anything like that. I mean, they do it. And then, okay, so the swim, I want to talk about the swim. She dives under the stage, and I understand there's a cart, not Swifties, don't get mad that I'm ruining the magic. A cart, the drags are over. She comes up with a costume change for the next song, disappears in the back, and then shows up at the front again.
Yeah.
I know, the timing is perfect.
I'm like, did she take a subway this time? How did she get there?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And also the costume change too was quick.
Yeah, it's flawless.
Yeah.
Like, I actually fear for the people that work with her, not because, and I'm sure everything I hear is that she's lovely, but the precision that this would require is absolutely staggering. Like, it's just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, the precision was really on top, and I feel like, we can think about like Formula One drivers.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. It's amazing.
Here's a question for you all. And Leila, I know that you're in concerts, so maybe you can answer this better than the either two of us. But I've read that now studios are interested in releasing more concert films. Maybe that's because of the strike as well. I know Beyonce's got one coming up later this month, I believe. Do you both think that this is the beginning of an open door for that, or is this just a Taylor Swift blip on the radar? Is this a signal that people actually want this, or is this just like Taylor Swift fans in their moment?
I think when you're talking about Taylor Swift and Beyonce, you're kind of like on a different level to a certain extent. Like, as an artist, you have to reach completely like insane heights. Like, I know you talked a bit about the production and how insane it was. Like, that cost like thousands upon thousands of dollars to do at a show. And I feel like you just have to have like a specific connection with your fans to be confident enough that you're just releasing a film that's a recording of a concert that, let's say, 80% of the people who are going to see this film have already been to the concert in real life. and somehow you're getting them to pay all over again to go see the movie in a theater, like see the concert in a theater. Um, and it's not like you're getting, I remember I was explaining this to someone I work with who's not really a Taylor Swift fan at all, and he was like, so it's just the concert? And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go watch the concert like in the movie. He's like, there's no like behind the scenes, there's no like editorial content in the film, like it's just the concert. And I was like, yeah, it's just the concert. So I think but I wouldn't do that for every artist.
No.
So I think I think Taylor Swift, it is a bit more of a unique situation because the Eras tour was huge and got so much media attention and coverage that like I think she knew she could come out with the film, and she knows she has the type of fan base that would go watch it. Like I've seen it already. I'm going to see it again this weekend with a different friend who hasn't gotten the chance to see it yet. I think maybe more artists will be open to doing it, but I don't think it will have the same effect by any means.
Mm-hmm.
I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
Yeah.
You know what? My lens would be more from an operational standpoint. There's so much going on in the music industry. You've got AI, okay? You've got all the different forms. You're selling merch, there's SoundCloud, what else is there? Apple Music, etc., Spotify. And so they would be amiss with someone like Taylor Swift and even Beyonce not to do something like this, because it's another form, to get the momentum, like to keep the momentum going. So pragmatically, I feel like it was just a smart idea. And they knew that it would go well. Like I've never been a real true Swiftie fan, but I'm becoming one. But I would do that for U2. I love U2. If I went to their concert, I would actually go to see a U2 whatever at the movies. I would, right after going to the concert. But like her and Beyonce are as enormously popular and similar to the Beatles and Elvis. That's what they say, right? And they also have an ever-growing fan base. So I can see how that would be a smart move, because it's an opportunity.
Yeah, I'm one to think this is a flash in the pan, and I don't mean Taylor Swift is a flash in the pan. I mean that I'd go see a band I like maybe in theaters. If I've been to the show, would I do it? Maybe just to support it. But if I saw the show already, I don't know if I'd do that, or I'd just wait till it came out and streaming or disc and watch it again. But I feel like this just taps into the lifeblood of the Taylor Swift fans. And actually, I really hope the Beyonce one does well. I actually prefer Beyonce, but I really hope her concert does well. Because I want to see other artists get this opportunity, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like this is just because this has set records, it doesn't mean that everybody's like, you know what we need every band to do a concert film. I don't think that's what this says. I think what this is, again, taps into that relationship with the fans in a really interesting, unique way.
I wonder, Steve, if there'll be a momentum with that, with these
Concert films.
Yeah.
There could
Because
be.
they're doing that with orchestras and stuff, right? Vivaldi, you can go see the Four Seasons and all this kind of stuff at the theaters.
Yes, but it doesn't have a following. Like, I don't know if there's a ton of Vivaldi fans that are waiting for the next live presentation.
But this one is cool because it's viral.
It's viral.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, okay, we're running out of time to you both. We should screen it or skip it. Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, screen it or skip it?
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Screen it.
Screen it. I guess I'm biased, but yeah, I would say screen it.
We are.
I think you're never, ever, ever gonna see a concert of that caliber, personally.
It's pretty remarkable. It's, in all honesty, and I don't consider myself a new Swiftie having seen it. I won't anticipate her new album, but I'd watch that again. It
Yeah,
was
I
an
would too.
incredible show. Incredible show.
Oh,
Um,
I know, it was awesome.
yeah. There's for a concert film that everybody's hyping up. I went in and I was skeptical, and I was blown away. I was blown away, and I think that if you despise Taylor Swift, there's no reason for you to see that. But even if you are a casual interest or like a couple of her songs, I think anybody can enjoy that. It's a phenomenal show.
Mhm. Okay, in closing, I would like to say something. Although we see Beyonce and Swiftie doing really well there as females, in the music industry, I need to tell everyone and give them awareness that there's a gender disparity although her and Beyonce are leading the industry, there still is a huge disparity for women. Just want everybody to know that.
Which, and I mean, Leila, I'm sure you can speak to this too, but I mean, from what I'm hearing, that gives so much power to her showing her ability to stand up for herself especially in regards to her music and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, she literally has a song called "The Man" where she sings about like the injustices that she's faced, and it's in the film, so you can see it there too to watch her
Yeah.
perform it. But yeah,
She's fortunate to be in this season for music because in the 80s and the 90s, when you saw all the girl bands, a lot of them now are giving sort of informal little interviews and saying, yeah, you saw us up there and everyone thought that we were making a lot of money, but we hardly even had money for groceries.
Yeah.
So, anywho.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Not to like end it on a low note, Steve.
No, that's a good note. It's a good note for a film like this.
It was good, and everybody should go see it. It's awesome.
I really appreciate you both, and I'm thankful that you could take some time to talk about Taylor Swift with me. I really do. If you have anything or anyone you want to promote, now's a good chance. I always say sell your wares.
Okay.
You have anything?
Well, I'm not selling myself, but I'd like to sell to people. My daughter, her name's Victoria Love McCartney, up and coming musician that wants to be an artist, but also publish her music. Listen to her. Go to Instagram, Victoria Love McCartney. Go for it, peeps.
Absolutely. She's great. Absolutely. Leila, anything you want to hype up? Because I know you're a concert promoter, so you got anything you want to promote?
I don't think I have any upcoming shows. I do sometimes write for an online magazine called Beetroot. I actually just wrote an article on Taylor Swift. You can read it over there.
Maybe you can put a link to that, Steve.
Yeah. What is the name? What is the name?
I can send you a link after. It's called the magazine's called Beetroot, and I just wrote an article connecting your Taylor Swift songs to your zodiac sign, because I always say that her songs were written in the stars. Yeah. So can read about it on there.
Love it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And we'll have that up on screen so that people can follow you. And for you at home, a reminder: you can find us wherever podcasts are available. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, everywhere. Hopefully anywhere, Google Podcasts, anywhere that you can get yours. Also, you can find us on YouTube. Subscribe to us there. Smash that subscribe button. at just look up Screenfish. And if you go to the podcast page at screenfish.net, you can download Fishing for More, which are small group questions to help you get the conversation started where you are. And once again, I want to thank you both so much for the time and chatting with me. I really appreciate it. And for you at home, we started the conversation. This was Screenfish.